What's up? It's Dr. Will James reporting to you with Dr. Will James Reports. Um, so I'm here today. I wanted to go over chapter one of my book, Black Supremacy. I figured I'll go over it, especially with me doing more interviews. I've appeared on a few podcasts, a few radio shows, and I want to give people a better understanding of the book. Um, Black Supremacy. Go get that now on Amazon. 29.99, 500 pages. So I just wanted to go over chapter one. It's a short chapter, give people an introduction to the book. They say you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, and I believe that. I don't operate off of conjecture. I believe you have to get into a book to fully understand, especially an informative book, to understand, what it's teaching you in the author's point of view. Um, you got to read it. You can't just operate off of conjecture. You can't just go off a title because a title is a hook. A hook is, supposed to grab the reader's attention. And that's what this book does. The title Black Supremacy is, inflammatory. People think of white supremacy when they hear, black supremacy, um, but they're total opposites. So this is not, you know, black supremacy does not have the same meaning as white supremacy. And I've spoken about it on a few interviews, but what I really want to challenge people to do is to actually read. And this book has a lot of chapters, and you really need to read it all to fully understand and grasp the whole concept of what I mean by black supremacy. Even when I explain it to some people and I try to do a synopsis, I try to do, a summary of what the meaning is, people still don't fully get it. But I'm just going to go over the first chapter. Is very short. It's the introduction to the book, 5 pages, and I'm going to read it, and then I'm going to break down, um, the meaning in parts, um, just so people get the idea. So, chapter one, Black Supremacy. So, like I said, chapter one is the introduction. Here's what it says: Black supremacy. No group of people has experienced the level of oppression and discrimination of the black male and female. Yet, black people have made the most significant contributions in the history of the world, and they have amassed success at the highest levels in all fields. So, what this is saying is, um, black people have accomplished, a lot in science, math, medicine, dentistry, um, architecture. We've reached the highest marks in every field. Like if you look at the pyramids in Egypt, they still don't know how those were constructed. Those were built by black people. So that's just one example. If you study, if you look at dentistry, black people were the first dentists. If you look at science, we were the first scientists. You look at people like Imhotep, people like Socrates and Aristotle. They went to Egypt and they studied from, you know, scientists, mathematicians, and black people in Africa. So that's what I mean by that. The resilience and perseverance of black people is supreme. Again, resilience and perseverance is supreme. If you look at what black people have went through historically, even if you just look at America, no group of people have had to endure what black people have had to endure within them within America. Okay, like within America, the United States of America, the only comparison you would give is what? Native Americans, and then what? Japanese Americans during World War II in internment camps. That would be your comparisons, which is really no comparison. So black people have persevered through that. And if you look at what black Americans have contributed, that's what I mean. Okay. Now, where do I leave off? Okay. Black people who gain a firm understanding of who they are, the greatness of their ancestors, and the greatness of their culture will reign supreme. So, gaining a firm understanding of who you are, knowing black history, knowing the greatness of your ancestors, like some of what I just touched upon, and knowing the greatness of your culture. So, actually learning your culture. Um, so, knowing the things that really make us who we are. What were our beliefs prior to captivity? um, how we eat, how we pray, our spirituality, what are our beliefs? Do we is it monotheistic? Is it polytheistic? These different types of things. How we should clothe ourselves, how we dress, what apparel do we wear, what habits do we have? Because now in America and different parts of the world, there's certain habits that Black people have. Rastafarian culture. They smoke or they just deal with marijuana. Um, Things of that nature. Knowing our culture prior to that, what was it? Um, choo, choo, choo. A Black supremacist understands their history and they are not afraid to speak about it. Black people should vibrate at their highest frequency of mind, body, and spirit in order to overcome the damage that has been done to Black people, and they should maximize their potential. Black supremacists avoid behavior that is detrimental to their people, and they participate in behavior beneficial to their people. So that's very simple. Avoiding behavior that's detrimental to your people and participating in behavior that's beneficial to your people. Everyone should agree with that statement. So things like, loitering, sitting around doing nothing, that doesn't benefit us. Sit around doing narcotics, getting high, getting drunk, that doesn't benefit us, right? Being educated, working with one another, working with your community, letting the community raise a child. It takes a community to raise a child. That benefits us. Making sure people ain't out here committing crimes in your community, being well educated, being well read, being articulate, that benefits the community. Having the nuclear Black family benefits the community. Having the Black man, Black woman, Black child staying together, not having domestic violence. This is what I'm talking about. Things like that benefit our community. That's a Black supremacist. They do things to benefit the Black community, to put themselves on top. This book shall reveal individuals who share the thought process of a white supremacist. Those are the individuals who do not want to acknowledge the truth about Black history. Additionally, this book will shed some light on why Black people generally view certain societal norms and practices differently than other racial groups. So, if you read the book, I talk about different things that we see today. Black history is not the same as white history, Asian history, Native American history, different groups. Our history is varied. Our history is different. Our history is not the same. So in present day, we can't view everything the same. Black people can't view the feminist movement the same as Black people can't view the LGBTQIA the same way a white person or Asian person would because of our history. So that's what I mean by that. And then I break that down later in the book. That's page 1. So page 2. Black people have been damaged mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, and spiritually. Oh, let me go back to page 1 real quick because I missed a part. The part where I said Black people should vibrate at their highest frequency of mind, body, and spirit. So, highest frequency of mind, body, and spirit. The food we eat, what we put into our bodies, having a healthy diet. Um, I say we should be the historians doing research as to what you should put in your body, how to maintain good health, good heart rate, cardiovascular, um, exercise, mind, body, spirit, praying, really working on yourself, really working on your mind, being in tune with your higher power, your higher frequency. Who do you pray to? Because we've always been spiritual, religious people, and now they're trying to take that away from us. But being in tune with that is being at your mind, body, and spirit, highest frequency of mind, body, and spirit. That's what I mean. You look at me, I'm a martial artist. I know how to defend myself. I exercise. I read. I study. I do research. All right. I can defend any standpoint that I have, any point of view that I have, I can defend it with facts. with artifacts, with history, with data, examples, statistics. That's what I mean by that part. But back to page 2. Black people have been damaged mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, and spiritually. That's sort of self explanatory, but again, I go through that later in the book. Throughout the book, I will evaluate the damage that has been done to Black people worldwide throughout centuries of oppression. Besides the fact that Black people are still being oppressed in modern America and various parts of the world, the damage caused during slavery is still prevalent today. The psychological damage that has been done to Black people is so great that many people never recognize they have been polluted. Many people of the white race and other non-Black groups of people have also been polluted so much that they do not recognize their advantage, their privilege, the difference made amongst racial groups historically, or the differences in the 21st century, and the impact it has on people. So many people have been polluted. They think that, oh, there's no racism in 21st century America, and slavery was so long ago. It has no impact on you now. That has no impact on us now. Why should we care? That's what that means. Um, Many Black people have been polluted so much that they do not recognize their disadvantage, their lack of privilege, the struggles of Black people historically, or the struggles Black people face in the 21st century. So that's like people like Larry Elder or Jesse Lee Peterson, who appeared on his show. They don't recognize it either. Um, Even those who recognize the disadvantage face the task of climbing out of the hole. The damage done to Black people is so great that my parents feared for my safety when I told them I would write such a book. Do not blame me for addressing race in such a way. This is a situation created by the white supremacists. So when I told my parents I was writing this book, and I told them like the title, they feared for my safety. They know the history of people like Malcolm X, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Medgar Evers, uh, Fred Hampton. It just goes on, with Black leaders who were killed, who were assassinated. Literally, they didn't want a Black Messiah. So I talk about that in the book as well. But I understand why my parents feared for my safety when I told them I was writing such a book. But I still wrote it, I still published it, and I'm still speaking because I don't care. Um, yeah. And then a lot of times people like to point out individual success. So I'm successful, right? People like Larry Elder, uh, Jesse Lee Peterson, sometimes Candace Owens does this. And they say, oh, no one's holding you back. And I go through it in the book how systemically there's still systemic racism. And I go through it. I prove it with facts. So just because you have individual dots and people who are successful, you know, Frederick Douglass was successful and he was born a slave. So that means nothing. Booker T. Washington. There's several people throughout. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Like he was successful. So that's like saying throughout Jim Crow and throughout the civil rights movement, there was nothing to fight for. You can always that just because Black people are resilient and we persevere through discrimination, that does not mean that there is no discrimination. Um, the damage done to Black people is so great that some people do not know they are Black, and some even deny being Black because they are ashamed. The damage done to Black people is so great that we do not know what or who to believe in as it relates to spirituality or religion. We do not know whether we should be religious at all. The damage done to Black people was so great that we do not know what to celebrate or what to denounce. So I give an example coming up. The damage done to Black people was so great that there is an ongoing competition among some Black people about skin tone. Some Black people feel great celebrating holidays that had no benefit to their ancestors and it has no benefit to them now, such as July 4th. So that's an example of what to celebrate or what to denounce. You got Black people who take pride in celebrating July 4th when July 4th, 1776, America gains its independence and then put Black people in slavery and chains for another 90 years. I don't see the point in celebrating something like that. The damage done to Black people is so great that many Black people do not recognize the many contributions Black people have made to humanity. Whitewashing, they hide our contributions. Black people do not really know who we are because we have been stripped of our native tongue, our culture, and history throughout the transatlantic slave trade. History has been distorted so much that even some black people, black Hispanics, and Native Americans do not know about the good things accomplished by people of their culture. The fact that we refer to ourselves as black, African American, Negro, and other terms highlights the damage done to black people. Black people do not even know if they should identify as black because they realize that it is a color or just a state of being to some. So, you all know, and I know probably while reading this, some people who are black were probably like, "Oh, why he keeps saying black? Why he keeps saying black? We're not black. We're this. We're that." That just highlights that point. Um, how so-called black people should identify is up for question due to the destruction of our history. However, for the sake of clarity and not to confuse anyone, I will use the term black. The common term is black to refer to people today. So, to not be confused, I'm using the term black. We're viewed as black people. That's a race, especially in America. That's why I'm using the term. Some people may say, "Oh, we are, we the Moors, we're the Israelites, we're the Cometians, we're this, we're that." The common term that we all understand is black. I'm talking about black people. I'm talking about who look like me today. Uh, the name Africa. So Africa's Mother Africa is what it's known as. So I figured I should start there. The name Africa is of African origins from the Egyptian word Afrika or motherland, and that was from Dr. Van Cernema. I got that from. Scipio Africanus Major was a Roman general who lived from 236 through 183 BC. The Roman general conquered Hannibal in the Punic Wars. He conquered New Carthage almost at once in 209 and used the city as his own base. Within several years, he had conquered Spain. As consul in 205, Scipio wanted to invade Africa, but his jealous enemies in the Senate granted him permission to go only as far as Sicily and gave him no army. In 204, he received permission to go to Africa, where he joined his allies, the Numidians, and fought with success against the Carthaginians. In 202, Hannibal crossed to Africa and tried to make peace, but Scipio's demands were so extreme that war resulted. Scipio defeated Hannibal at Zama, returned home in triumph, and retired from public life. He was named Africanus after the country he conquered. Africa already had the name before the European arrived there, contrary to what many believe. However, many historians argue that the land was named after the European. There are over 50 countries in Africa that have been known by different names. Egypt has been referred to as the land of Ham and Kemet, just to give an example. The continent known as Africa has had many different names. According to the Kemetic history of Africa, the definition of Alkebulan is as follows. The ancient name of Africa was Alkebulan, Alkebulan, mother of mankind or garden of Eden. Alkebulan is the oldest and the only word of indigenous origin. It was used by the Moors, Nubians, Numidians, Carthaginians, and Ethiopians. As Black people, what were we called prior to captivity? What was our culture? What things did we accept? What things did we frown upon? What were our laws? What were our beliefs? We must do the research to know the truth, since the truth has been distorted and polluted by white supremacists. A few things are clear. Black people are the original inhabitants of Earth, Black people are the real Jews, and Black people are the Moors. The white supremacists have told lies and committed many evil acts to suppress Black greatness, but the truth must be revealed. Black people have endured centuries of attacks and oppression, yet still managed to make the world's most significant contributions, which highlights their greatness. This is not a belief, but an objective truth. This truth reveals Black supremacy. That's chapter one. Okay. Um, so throughout the book, I go on to prove all of the claims. The main premise is that Black people have supreme resilience and innovativeness. So again, two things must be true there. I talk a lot about our innovativeness during our oppression. So if one person is being held back and still succeeding, that's supreme. That's what I mean by that. It's like Usain Bolt is the world's fastest man ever. If I were to go outside and race Usain Bolt right now, he's still probably extremely fast. I saw after he retired, he still was running like a 4.240, in regular clothing. If I were to go outside and race Usain Bolt right now, or just say the world's current fastest man, Noah Lyles, if I were to go outside and race him right now with a 15-meter head start, 20-meter head start, he would beat me in a 100-meter dash with me running all out, running my fastest. Just because he wins, that doesn't mean I didn't have an advantage. That would just show how great he is. You understand? That would show how much better than me he is at running a 100-meter dash currently. So when people bring up things, like I was talking to someone the other day, and they brought up like Eli Whitney, white guy who's credited with creating the cotton gin. But when you do the research, you look at how he stole that invention from uh, an invention that black people had made to comb out the cotton, and he just made a bigger version. So it's things like that historically where we don't get our credit when they give someone else credit for certain things. But when you dive deeper, you see black people there, you see us there behind it. And we weren't getting credit for several things because we were oppressed and because several things have been whitewashed. So I took it upon myself to do the research. So you cannot talk about my premise or anything that I'm stating firsthand if you have not read this book. You don't know the information in the book, and you don't know why I'm saying what I'm saying. You're going off of your understanding of history, which has been tampered with. And that's a factual statement. We know that. So until then, until you read this book, until you get your copy, if you can't show me your copy, and if you can't make an argument against me based off of the information in the book, and I'm going to go through the other chapters, but if you can't make an argument with me, against me, based off the information in the book, then you should be quiet. Y'all can let me know what y'all think in the comments. Order your own copy. Like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. Peace.